Welcome to Pat Writes Books. The video you're about to watch is intended for mature audiences. It will likely contain an abundance of cursing, adult discussions, and worst of all, personal opinions. So chill out, grab a snack, and enjoy the show. Take it away, Sensei.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's Pat, your friendly internet wordsmith, and today I want to talk about romance, and more specifically, how to write romance that won't make your readers gag. Now, when it comes to writing romance, there is a fine line between writing a steamy romance and a hot dumpster fire. And to be honest, there is no right way to write a love story for the ages, but there are several crucial ways to get it wrong. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, starting with tip number 1, and that is your lovers need to be balanced. Have you ever read or seen a romance in which one of the participants is a certified snack and the other is just not it? And I don't mean in the, oh, I'm so plain, but I'm actually smoking hot and just don't know it, Mary Sue kind of way. No, I more so mean that one of the participants is putting up a good 80% to the dynamic while the other is putting up a funky ass 20. Now, I know what you're thinking, and you're probably like, Pat, you're gonna tell us that this needs to be a 50-50 thing, right? Actually, no. I don't like to prescribe to that expression. Instead, it's my belief that both partners in a relationship need to be giving 100% to the dynamic. And the thought process behind that is that when both partners give it their all, there's nothing they can't accomplish together. So this means that in your fictional romance, both characters need to be presenting themselves into vulnerable situations. They both need to be making sacrifices and compromises for one another. They both need to be laying their feelings down, expressing their gratitude, all that stuff. It needs to be a two-way street of equal proportions, and not I give you half, you give me half, we make a whole. No, we both go ham 100%. Tip number 2, please ditch the asshole. Now, we are all born with assholes. So frankly, I'm not sure why it's been so popular for characters in fiction to be attracted to them. Seriously, nothing works on my nerves worse than when I'm reading a story and the MC gets the hots for someone who has the personality of an overgrown cactus. It truly boggles my mind sometimes. I mean, like, whenever I'm reading a story and we get an MC who just falls head over heels for this prick who maybe mistreats them, has verbally abused them. I mean, the shit can get pretty dark. And as a reader, we're just supposed to accept it because this love interest is misunderstood or they're just really passionate. Please don't write romances like this because A, it really sucks ass, and B, it normalizes fucked up relationships, which can be really damaging for younger audiences who are reading your work who may not be developed or experienced enough to know better. And if you think that you can write it in a way that, I don't know, maybe this love interest has a really tragic backstory, so their dickish ways will make sense by the end of the book. Yeah, there's not a tragic enough backstory in the world that can justify being a cunt of a human being to the person you quote unquote love. So yeah, don't even try. Tip number 3, don't force the romance. Oftentimes it seems like in fiction that a romantic subplot is just shoehorned in, or perhaps maybe you're reading the epilogue of the book and yeah, everyone after the big bad is dead has hooked up with somebody. If you didn't know, allow me to inform you that romance is not a requirement when writing fiction. I know it's shocking, but trust me, it's true. Now, obviously, this tip kind of only applies if you're writing fiction with like a romantic subplot, because if you're writing a romance novel, people falling in love is pretty much the point. However, if you're writing an epic fantasy adventure and your MC is just gonna fall in love because romantic subplots make the book better, no. You need to put serious work into crafting a romance, A, to make it believable, B, to have it cohesively weave in and integrate with the plot. And if you're not going to put that time to do it right, you shouldn't do it at all. On to tip number 4, and that is the attraction needs to be both mutual and believable. This tip kind of double backs on This tip kind of doubles back to the previous tip on balance, but more so in a physical way. Now, attractions work in a variety of different ways. Just like you can be attracted to somebody because you have a shitload in common, you can also be attracted to someone because you're opposites and you find that opposite quality that you don't have in that other person. You find it fascinating and you want to include that more into your life. You're attracted to it. However, where this starts to fall apart is when you have two characters where one is highly attracted to the other, but the other couldn't give less of a fuck. Or perhaps you have tall, dark, and handsome over here who's a rich, banging, certified snack. They have their pick of celebrities, actresses, whatever, but they end up falling for a wet napkin over here who couldn't find self-esteem if it bitch slapped them in the face. You see where I'm getting at? It needs to make sense. And the final tip, please keep in mind your story's category and genre. Now this should go without saying, but because a lot of common things aren't common, apparently, allow me to be the first to inform you that your category and genre are going to dictate a lot of what you write. In terms of writing romance, if you're, for example, writing a YA romance novel, fiction story with a romantic subplot, whatever. If you're writing in YA, your romance is going to be tailored to more young teenage love stories type things. Why, you might ask? Well, if you are writing in YA, your protagonist should be a young adult. On the other hand, if you're writing an adult novel, I would expect the romance in that story to be a lot steamier because you're writing about adults, or at least you should be. In terms of genre, there's really one thing I want to drive home, and that is that there is a big difference between romance and erotica. And I'm going to repeat it. There is a big difference between romance and erotica. And this is going to dictate the love stories you're trying to tell here very drastically. Now, take what I say with a massive grain of salt, because I'm a reader who doesn't typically read pure romance novels, but I do enjoy my fiction with a nice romantic subplot, and I have never read an erotica novel before. So again, take what I say with a grain of salt. But my understanding of the classifications between the two is that a romance novel will focus on characters falling in love and their relationship and all the touchy-feely stuff, whereas erotica will focus on characters getting their shit wet. So basically, if you're writing a romance novel or a story with a romantic subplot, it's not a good idea to go all ham on the naughty shit. Now, that's not to say that your characters can't bone. If you want them to do the nasty, then by all means, you know, also if it makes sense for the story, yeah, have them bump those uglies. However, the fornication should not be a focal point of the story, nor should you go chapters upon chapters describing shafts or lips or things going into other things. You get the idea. And that's going to do it for this one. Personally, I love a good romantic subplot in a story. When it's done well, it really enhances things for me. But again, that's just my personal preference. But you know what? I'd love to know yours. So please feel free to hop down below and leave a comment.
Thanks for kicking it with us. If you had a good time, go ahead and slap that like button. And if you're new, consider subscribing, because we do this every week. Of course, you're going to want to hit that bell too so you never miss an upload. Have an awesome day, achieve something great, and we'll catch you later.